Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob with Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today I have an interesting Rob's Rambling. I wanted to talk a little bit about, can I appreciate a knife design? Can I like a knife design that I don't like and probably will never buy, or most likely will never buy? You know, sometimes people, we put blinders on and we only see certain designs that we like and we think, that's the only design. That's the only logical design anybody should like. And here's the reasons why, because that's the only thing I see. I think we get into that tunnel vision. It's sort of like when you buy a new car and you get that car and then all of a sudden you go driving and you realize, oh, a bunch of people have your exact same car. And you're like, I didn't realize how many also had the same car. Before you didn't see that car as prevalent as it was until you bought it. Well, I think sometimes when people look at knives, there's a particular aesthetic or something that they're enjoying, and that's really what they only see, and they can't appreciate maybe other designs that are out there. Now, it doesn't mean you have to buy them, right? But you can still appreciate them, and that's one of those things that I have kind of come to realize. There are knife designs that aren't just in my wheelhouse. They're not things that I enjoy. They're not things that I'm going to enjoy maybe buying or purchasing. Excuse me, sorry. I'm going to enjoy buying or purchasing or bringing into my collection because they're just not my aesthetic. And that's okay. You don't have to have everything be exactly as you like it and as you want it. I think that's kind of short-sighted, maybe even a little arrogant sometimes, or just maybe a little ignorant. I don't know. And I hope I'm not stepping on anybody's toes, but as you kind of get exposed to more and more knife designs and you see all the offerings that are out there, it's really quite amazing how awesome some of that stuff is. Now, I've owned some stuff that I bought because I was told, this is the Grail knife, these are the knives you have to have, and I bought them. I appreciate them. I like their quality. They just weren't for me. They weren't my design. But I've now come to the point where there are knives that I can appreciate, I can like, but I will never, I'll never buy them. It's not a design that really appeals to me. I know, I enjoy watching Metal Complex. He shows some of the craziest knives out there with the Timascus, the zirconium and mokutai and all that fancy stuff, from all the different custom knife makers. Really, really cool stuff. And it is amazing, and I appreciate it all. I appreciate the craftsmanship and the craftsman design and the engineering and the aesthetics of it all. But it's not something I think I would ever buy. And that's okay. I can appreciate stuff like that. Here's some knives that I have that are kind of variations of other knives that I've looked at, owned, or almost bought, or have owned, or they're evolutions of other knives that were already there and I've come to appreciate as well, For instance, let's talk about this right here, the We Banter. Great knife. I own this. I got the carbon fiber one that we made. Beautiful design, comfortable and everything, but man, the corners were so sharp. It was so uncomfortable, and I liked it. I saw how people loved it, and I saw the functionality, and everything, the EDC part of it, everything was fantastic, but it just wasn't comfortable for me. But I appreciated the design, I appreciated the intent and the idea, so I sold that knife. And then, of course, some guy made these Unlock Composites, that's the name of the company, that made these scales. And when I heard about them and how they cut out for they have a little better cutout for the liner lock and everything, I thought, let's give it a try. And sure enough, that's made this a completely different knife. And so now I appreciate this design. I appreciate this aesthetic. So if you're not in carbon fiber, you're not going to like this at all. If you only like G10, well, you're not going to like this. I get it. But man, this made this knife so much better. But I still appreciated the aesthetics before I even knew about these scales. I still appreciated everything that it was, but it wasn't for me. It wasn't something I was going to keep in my collection or buy again until I discovered those. Now, I've owned several OTFs, and I've handled a lot of OTFs. I've enjoyed them all. This is the Kershaw Livewire. I really like this Kershaw Livewire. Great little knife. It is the one that I've actually kept in my collection. It is probably the most frugal one, but it's the best bang for the buck. The action is, I think it's up there with the Microtechs that I've handled. Really, really fantastic. It's not super small. It's not gargantuan. It doesn't have a giant glass breaker. It's reversible pocket carry clip and all that good stuff. But man, it just works. Now, I appreciate OTFs. I really do. And there's a lot of OTFs that I've handled, I've liked, I appreciate the design, but they're just not something that I will buy. They're not something I will keep. I've actually sold my Guardian tactical one. Liked that one a lot, but once I got this was it. I gotta tell you, I'm not like, I don't need 20 or 30 different OTFs. One OTF for me, where I'm at in my collection right now, this is fine. This is the one OTF that I'll carry and use. I don't need 20, 30 different variation of OTFs. I think they're cool, but it's not necessarily my cup of tea. I like this design, I like the aesthetics, the comfort of it, and to me, that's what I appreciate, all the thought that went into every one of these contours and shapes. That to me made this knife just really fantastic, because now when you're here, you're now using this knife. This is a great cutter, great tool. It really works well. To me, that makes this knife just fantastic. But I appreciate the other OTFs. They're just not things I would buy. They're not my cup of tea. They're not, I can enjoy and appreciate the design without having to buy it, right? I can appreciate the Grail knives. I can appreciate the Holy Trinity of knives, you know, the Spartan blades, the Rick Hinder, and the Chris Reeve knives. I can appreciate those without having to own them, right? I'm okay with that. And so here's a variation that kind of came as a result of Chris Reeve. I had a Chris Reeve Umnumzan, loved that knife, beautiful knife. I got it because, you know, that was a knife I was supposed to get. It was a fantastic knife, really well built, highly recommended. If it's your cup of tea, get it. But it wasn't for me, and it's not one I'm gonna probably ever buy again and bring into my collection. I don't think I would ever carry a Sabenza or any of the other ones. I just would never want to, okay? I can still appreciate the design, I can still appreciate their aesthetic and their quality build, but they're just not something I'm going to buy and bring into my collection. So here you have what I would appreciate that's kind of like the Chris Reeve feel and everything, yet this is an Arno Bernard Imamba made in South Africa, but it has the ceramic balls that's just buttery smooth and glassy smooth, and it's a flipper, all the things that I enjoy about a knife that I want to be able to use. And I normally could flick that, but I haven't carried this in a while, so there we go. I know I can do it. I can easily reverse flick it, but this is one of those knives that I enjoy that is kind of like an alternative to a Chris Reeve knife. And I like this a lot. And so this is something I'll carry, something that I enjoy, especially this. Oh, excuse me, a little late here recording my video, but this is something I really would enjoy and really find a lot of fun to carry. And this is an aesthetic I like. And so it doesn't mean I hate any of those other designs, doesn't mean I'm against them, doesn't mean I'm gonna not recommend them. I think you should absolutely check them out. I really do. I think they're great knives. You should give them a try and see if those are knives for you. Definitely, okay? So that's where I stand on those. Oh, and now here we have another one. This is the Paramilitary 3. Paramilitary 2. I have a Para 3 also. Now the Para 3 is more my size. Light. This is really large. Now, boy, I'm having a little trouble here. I maybe need to oil this, because normally it's really easy to flick and manipulate, but I haven't carried this in a while, so I probably need to put a little oil in there, and I probably need to break that washer in. Now this is phosphor bronze washer, it's not K ceramic ball bearing, so if you don't use it for a while, I'm sure that a little corrosion gets in there and it's gonna not be as smooth as it normally is. But I'm not a big paramilitary super fan, right? I like them. Now this was an anniversary gift, and I really love the fact that it was a gift from my wife, and so I'm never going to get rid of this knife. And it's a beautiful knife, all right? And it's S45 VN steel, great steel, and really probably the best people to do this steel is going to be Spyderco, because their heat treat is just, they're great. They really do a good job, right? So I've never really had any heat treat issues with them. But I do need to break this knife in. It's kind of bugging me, sorry. But this is a knife about as big as I'll go. Now there's days I like carrying this because it's a bigger knife to use, right? And it was an anniversary gift, but I like the Para 3. That one's a little more comfortable, a little more concealed. So, but they make a military version. I don't know if they call it, it's not a para, it's just a paramilitary or the military version. I forget what it's called, but it's a large version of this. You have Para 3, Paramilitary 2, and it's the Paramilitary, I guess. It's the full version. I will never buy that. And even though they've made it very much like a large version of this, which I think means I can really appreciate it, but my hands aren't gargantuan. Now, if you've got extra large, triple extra large hands, that paramilitary one, the large version, you might love that. That might be absolutely the knife for you because of the design and the size and everything. But I
is not something that I'm ever going to buy. I can appreciate it. There's a lot of Spyderco designs that I appreciate, that I like, and really, you know, find really wonderful designs, wonderful ideas, but they're not going to appeal to me wanting to add them to my collection. That's okay. The same for you. There's things here that you see in my collection you may not ever want to buy. You may not like, and that's okay. We're all different. Everyone has different aesthetics. That's why there's so many wonderful designs out there. And, you know, hopefully you can find something that appeals to you and that you enjoy. Here's another great example. The Everyman's Pocket EDC. Everyman's Pocket EDC. EMP EDC. That's the guy. He started off with the Nimble, which was a great little design. Smaller knife. I owned a Nimble and a Nimble Tonto. Loved them both. They had a flipper. When you went to close it, it would always catch on my thumb right there. And man, and once I cleared the thumb, then the whole thing would fall in a guillotine and it would cut me right there all the time. And it finally got to a point that I just got so frustrated because, you know, I don't have thin fingers. I have meaty fingers. They're not skinny little dainty fingers. And so you got to clear that. And if I can't clear that and I can't use the finger choil to catch it like I can with this, then it's going to guillotine down on me if I'm closing this and not paying attention, right? So that's what I appreciate about knives with a finger choil. It really makes that easy. So I enjoy this a lot. Now, when this came out and they didn't have the flipper, it was perfect. This was it. I still appreciate every one of the Nimbles. The Nimbles were amazing knives, great quality, super fidgety. Just one little aesthetic that kind of, you know, made me not want to carry it because I kept cutting myself. And I finally said, yeah, I'm kind of done with that. But this right here is my absolute favorite design of all theirs. Now, I did order a Nimble X, and we'll see. It's going to be coming in. We'll see if that, you know, because it's a different design with the choil and all that stuff, and I want to see if that clears and works really well. It seems like it does with everybody who has it, so I'm curious. I'm hoping it's a little bit different, just enough different that it can clear for me. But then that might be a variant of the Nimble that I really like. Here's another great design. I like the TRM Atom. It's a larger knife. They make a TRM Neutron. It's a little smaller. I haven't bought it because I wasn't sure if it was too small. But I really like the TRM Atom. It's for the size of the knife. It's a very thin blade, CPM 20 CV blade steel. It's on phosphor bronze washers, and it drops really nicely. I mean, for phosphor bronze washers. Really great user knife. Now, this is in the contoured red fat carbon scales, but they make these in titanium, which is gorgeous. But this is just a great functional knife to carry. I really like it. There's a few of their designs I'm not a big fan of. They're just not the right size. They don't, you know, trip it. They don't get me excited for that design. It's not something I want to go and acquire and bring into my wheelhouse, if you will. And that's okay. You know, you can appreciate knife design. You can appreciate aesthetics. You can appreciate quality in knives and not want to buy it. You don't have to buy it. And if you didn't know that, you have permission not to buy those. You really do. You don't have to get the knives because they say you have to get the knives. You know, as a knife channel, I know a lot of guys have a lot of knives in their collection, and I know those guys are genuine. They probably love every one of those knives. But, you know, I wonder at times, are there a few knives that some of us maybe have acquired that we feel we have to keep because we are on a knife channel and we want to appeal to our audience? And, you know, it's a fair question. And if you want to keep it because you want to have a knife to relate to your audience, I think that's a fair thing. I don't think that's deceptive. I mean, if it's not one you're going to carry, but you just have it so you can relate to your audience, I think that's legit. I think that's okay. I suspect that that's probably true for almost every one of us who do a knife channel and do reviews. I would imagine it would not be true for anybody. But I will tell you, every knife that I have in my collection, I do carry. I do enjoy carrying. I have either sold or given away knives that I don't, okay? That's just the straight up, honest to God truth there. And so if I have it, it's a variation of a knife finally that I liked. For instance, I have a Bugout 535-4. It's the aluminum scale, contoured scales. It's the M390. I like that version. I got it tuned up perfectly where it's drop shut. Matter of fact, I think I have it over here. Let me see if I can grab it out real quick. And I just hit the camera. Hopefully I didn't mess that up. Did I mess that up? Oh, I did, didn't I? Yeah, there we go. Let's fix that. Okay, is that better? All right. Really like this version. I'm not a big Bugout fan. Well, I was. I had every Bugout for a while because I started off, Bugout was my premium knife. I thought that was it. Then I discovered, well, Bugout was kind of the gateway. you call it gateway, whatever, to whatever other knives. But I still like this Bugout. I like this design. I like the thin blade. I like the non-flexible, you know, Elite G10 or, you know, carbon fiber, whatever. This to me was just a nice design, okay? And I got this for a great deal. It was on sale at the time. I don't know if I'd pay the price that it is right now. That's really expensive. But I like this. I like this a lot. And I like the edge retention's been great. This is a fun knife to carry. Everything about this. So this is a Benchmade I would carry. And I sometimes use it for a, you know, kind of like a comparison in size of some of the knives, right? If I don't always do that in my reviews. I should probably, but I don't. I know a lot of people do. I just kind of measure it and figure that you can get a ruler and measure it yourself if that's what you want to do. But anyways, so I like this knife, but there's a lot of Benchmades that I probably would never get because they're just not my cup of tea. The Osborne, I had a mini Osborne. I just couldn't get into it. It's just an odd looking shape for me. And I know for some people, they loved it. It worked great. Just too odd for me. It's not my cup of tea. And so I was going to skip out on that. And I probably will never own that knife. And you know what? That's okay. You don't have to own that knife. I don't know if you knew that. You don't have to own a knife that you don't like. Some people don't realize that. You know, they don't realize that that they don't have to own every knife. So I don't know. I just wanted to give you that permission if you didn't know. That's okay. You know. So out of curiosity, what about you guys? Are there any knives that that you appreciate, that you like, but you probably will never own? Are there some designs that you really like, but you probably never own? I'll tell you, I really like the sheer Gorovs. Okay, I don't know if I'll ever buy one and spend that much money. I handled one in a store and I did not like it. I did not like the flipper tab. It was not comfortable. I mean, I like a flipper tab that I can use and works, okay? I don't like some pseudo flipper tab that's sort of there or is not there. Do I have one here with a flipper tab? I do. I've got to have something with a flipper tab, don't I? Yeah, here we go. Here's a flipper tab one. This is the Tuya Knives Hive version 3. This has a beautiful flipper tab. Now, I like this, and beautiful hologram, by the way. Very comfortable, right? But I like the flipper tab. It works. It works well. It deploys the knife like I want to. It's very satisfying deployment, right? And because it's a hollow grind, I can, normally, I can reverse flick it as well, right? So I can get my finger in there and reverse flick it, and that's fun. It gives me multiple deployments. So I like that. But I want that flipper tab to work. I want it to be comfortable, and I don't want a flipper tab that's like barely there. I can barely get it going. You know, to me, that's yeah. I'm not into that. And that's one of the reasons why I guess the Nimble. I wasn't a huge fan of the small flipper that it had on there. Wasn't quite my cup of tea. But you know what? That doesn't mean it has to be your cup of tea. Here's another knife. The Kunwu knives. This is the Tau S. I love this knife. So buttery smooth. The thumb hole works really well, drops really well, and the front flipper is just perfect. I mean, you know, talk about front flipper. I can usually get this going pretty fast. Here, it's been a while. All right, there we go. So, you know, this is a lot of fun to flip, right? But this flipper tab, it's not great. But, you know, I know why they did it, so it's clear down here, and then you can still choke up. I get that. But this is one of those flipper tabs you really have to use the light switch, and you have to go, you know, pronouncedly. You can't just barely do it. You're going to fail. And you can't try to do the push button, because the push buttons, you're not going to get clear of this back part of the blade. So, you know, the thing is, though, it's so satisfying. This way, and this way, that this flipper tab is just a bonus. I don't need it, but it's a bonus that does work if I want to do it. It really is. But it's not needed. Everything else is great about this knife. So there you go. But that's one of those things that I like this knife. I don't feel like I have to buy it. There's several of the other knives that they have variants of that I probably won't buy. I mean, there was one that I felt like I did want to get, and I'm glad I got one more, and that's the Pulsar. Of course, let's do this correctly. It's got like an Axis Able lock type thing. They call this the XT lock. That's their version of it, which is, you know, because the Axis lock is no longer, the patent ran out, so everyone can copy it. But I like this. I like this a lot. Now, there's other variations of this knife out there that other people have, but I like this. I like this aesthetic a lot. This was something that spoke to me, okay? So I enjoyed that. But there are other versions of this that I'm not a fan of, and that's all right. That's okay. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What are some of those knives for you guys? What are some of those experiences that you guys have had that that you like, you enjoy, you can appreciate, but you're not going to buy, you're not going to collect? Or let's say you did look at it, you appreciate it, you bought it, you kind of go, man, I don't know if I really wanted this. Maybe you're keeping it in your collection because you don't want to admit to yourself that I bought it just because I felt pressured to buy it, or I bought it because I thought this is the knife we're supposed to own and everybody mentioned it. You know, maybe you haven't come to terms yet that you should sell it, probably let somebody else enjoy it. Maybe you're someone who just buys knives and you keep in your collection. You're fine having knives you'll never carry. That's cool too. That is awesome. If you can do that, go for it, man. That's awesome. That is up to you. You do with your money what you want. I just like to use every one of my knives. If I'm going to buy something, I want to be able to enjoy it. And to be able to enjoy it means I can carry it, I can use it. Now, granted, the way I carry and use this knife is going to be a little different than the way that I carry and use this knife, okay? Now, this knife has some scuff marks on it. It has some blemishes that, you know, some people might freak out about. It should be perfect. There should not even be one scuff mark. I'm not, you know, I want to use it. I want to use it and enjoy it. If I'm going to get a knife this nice, stick it in my box and never use it, that to me is not enjoyment, okay? That's where I'm at in my knife journey right now. It may not be where I'm at 5 years from now. It may not be where I'm at 10 years from now. You may be there now. You may not even be at that point right now. But you know what? That's where I'm at, okay? And so I'm enjoying the knives that I have. But I will use this one very differently than probably I would use this one or even this one, right? If I'm going to be spending $130, I can do more crazy things with this than if I spend $230 or $240. I can do more crazy things with that. Then I spend maybe $300, $350, $400 with the scales, right? I can do a little more crazy things with this, and then, you know, we're looking at $375. You know, I might do a little less crazy things with this, right? A whole lot less crazy, because now we're getting into the 300 plus range with these guys. At least it was when I bought it. I think it might be cheaper now, but then we get into the $450, $500 range. I'll do a whole lot less crazy with this, but I'll still open up boxes. I'll still open up envelopes. I'll still open up Amazon packages. I will still open up cases of water in the plastic. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to go break down cardboard that might have staples in it with a knife like this. I learned my lesson with that. By the way, I'll tell you a little story that was really annoying. I had this beauty. I just got my first Damasteel knife. It was the Peña Mula with the red fat and carbon inlay. Love this knife. Just gotten this, and I went to break down some boxes, and I thought, it's Damasteel, I can use it. I didn't realize there were staples in the boxes. And I know you guys are like, what? Yeah, I was cutting like that, and I hit a staple, and I just, man, rolled the edge all the way across. I had to reprofile that edge. Now, I took really, really careful care because I didn't want to cut into the choil of this thing, because it's a beautiful Damasteel. But I don't know if you can see, I think it is a fairly decent edge, really nice and sharp and shiny, very polished edge, super sharp, really, really nice. I like this a lot. So I learned my lesson with that, but I will still break down boxes that I know what's in them, you know, like small Amazon boxes. I'm not going to do Christmas giant boxes that might have contained heavy stuff. For sure not with this. I'd probably bring out this knife for that, right? This would be a safer knife to do that with, or maybe even a more budget knife. I don't know. Yeah, like if I have one of these like hanging around, like a $50, you know, CJRB Pyrite, great budget knife that you can go bang up, beat up, and I can reprofile the edge, not worry about it. And if I totally destroy it, I can buy another one, because it's not a super expensive knife, but it's a great knife and it works great. But I can beat the heck out of it and not worry about it, right? Because it's replaceable. Some of these I might be a little more careful, but I still enjoy carrying them, right? Just like with this, here's a McNeese Mac 2 Auto, beautiful knife, MagnaCut, you know, hollow grind. It's very strong edge, and it's going to really retain that edge really nicely because it's 63, 64 Rockwell hardness, which is what you really want to anneal or heat treat MagnaCut to. So this is going to really be a great work knife, and it's so comfortable. I like this a lot, but you know, I would probably go out and break down boxes like that, but I would be careful to look for staples, right? I wouldn't want to just go, you know, cut anything crazy hairy with this. Sometimes I'll go out in the yard, maybe there's a weed I want to cut down and I can't quite reach it because it's maybe thorny. I'll use a pocket knife to cut it. I would be okay cutting it with something like that. That would be fine, right? Maybe be a little less likely to do it with this kind of knife, for sure. Be more prone to maybe do it with Benchmade with M390. I'd be fine with that. I have actually done that very exact same thing with my TRM Atom. Works really great, matter of fact. Especially when you cut down to the root and you get into the dirt. This thing is, I don't know if you can tell. You probably can't even see it on here. I don't know if you can even see that edge being used like that. Let's see, is there any sign of wear up there that you can see? Probably not. No, you can't even tell. Beautiful, and it just, stropped it right up, and edge is gorgeous. Everything's fine. Fun knife. But I can appreciate all those knives and not feel like I have to use this one, right? I can appreciate the knives, and I can not feel like I have to buy them and keep them into my collection. Every one of these that I bought into my collection, I'm going to use. Those other types of knives, whether I don't like the aesthetics or whether they're too expensive, I'm not gonna bring into my collection, right? I'm not at the point yet where I will go buy the Damasteel variant of every one of these. I mean, I gotta be honest, there's some wee knives with a Damasteel that are gorgeous. There's some variations of these with a Damasteel that I would love to get, but we're talking close to $1,000, and that's just not where I'm at in buying knives. That's a lot of money. It's just out of my budget realm, okay? And there's just too many other way more important things. If I was going to do that, I'd have to sell several of these knives to be able to buy that. So, and I'm not willing to do that at this point. Maybe down the road, who knows, right? But I can still appreciate those knives. I can still appreciate those designs. Just doesn't mean I have to bring them into my collection. The same for you. Again, this is Rob's Rambling, Rob's Rant. Somebody called this, that was a rant. And he said, well, you can call it Rob's Rambling Rant. Well, maybe so. Call it a Rob's Rambling in a rant. I don't know. It's not a complaint. It's not a complaint. It's not a criticism. It's just, where I stand. I can appreciate other designs. I can appreciate other knives. And I don't feel like I have to buy them. And I hope you guys can too. And I hope you guys learned something. Maybe you felt like you had to buy certain knives, and maybe you feel a little freer not to have to buy them. Or maybe you have some in your collection that you really don't want to keep in your collection. You like, but you appreciate, but you don't carry, and you feel like it's taking up space and funds that you could buy something else with. Hey, sell them. Sell them. Seriously, consider selling them. There's all places to sell things out there. Do that. Sell those knives. Let somebody else enjoy them. Just realize it's a used knife, so you're going to have to give it a discount, right? Depending on how much use it has on it, you will have to give somewhat of a discount. So that's a reality. But go ahead and do that and get the knives you enjoy. You can appreciate those knives. It doesn't mean you have to keep them. It doesn't mean you have to buy them. So there you go. That's my thoughts on it. Love to hear your thoughts. Love to hear your feedback. Love to hear your insight into all of this, where you stand, what you think about all of this. Please let me know, especially down in the comments. Have any ideas, suggestions, thoughts for future ramblings or future discussions? I would love to hear them. Any ideas for my unboxings or my videos, reviews, please let me know as well. I do try to answer almost every one of the comments, right? I feel that's really important, and the channel's small enough where I can do that right now, and I'm going to make sure I do. So that's just my way of saying thank you for watching, and thank you for commenting, because I appreciate every one of you guys. It really makes this so much fun. I enjoy talking knives. I enjoy learning from you guys, because I learn from you guys. Some of the stories you've shared have been really pretty awesome, so I appreciate that. So there we go. Well, hey, thanks so much for checking in today, and if you've gone this far and you've listened to this whole thing, then you truly, I thank you. I appreciate it, and I would ask maybe you would also consider hitting the like button, and then if you've hit the like button, maybe hit that subscribe button. Both the like and subscribe really, really help out this channel. It helps me to produce more content. It allows my channel to grow. At some point, maybe even to consider to become monetized and start bringing enough revenue so that I could buy other cool knives that we can share and talk about. I can test out. I can give you my thoughts on. Really, that's really what I'm hoping this channel will do, is just for us to have a way to enjoy knives together and enjoy things we can carry. You may not agree with me, but I hope you get to see a different perspective. I hope you learned something, and that's really, really cool. That's what I'm hoping all this is about, So if you've done all that and you've considered all that, maybe also, oh, where'd my card go? Oh, I dropped it. Okay, let me find my other card here. If you've done all that, if you've done subscribe, you've done that for the channel, maybe consider hitting the notification button so you can be notified of future content. And if you've done that, maybe check me out over on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. That's on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. I sure would appreciate it. Thanks so much. You guys have a great day and a great week. Bye.